name is Alex Lopez with Issues in Education, and we're here with Devin Palacio. Thank you for joining us. He's a Tolleson Board of Education member. You're also a national director of NSBA, so that's pretty cool. And you're a chair for the National Black Council of the NSBA.
Yep.
So you're wearing a lot of hats, my man.
Yeah, like I told someone off camera, I love cookies, man. So that's why my hands are in all the cookie jars. But yeah, so blessed to serve in Arizona, and then of course at the national level.
I have the opportunity to talk with Bob Rader, and he is with, correct me when I say this, you are the executive director of the Connecticut Boards
Association of Boards of Education.
Okay, say it for me one more time.
Connecticut Association of Boards of Education.
Okay,
you can call it CABE if you will. CABE.
And you've had a significant career with them for how many years now?
Well, I've been executive director for 26 and a half years, and before that I was 15 years at the New York State School Boards Association in a number of different capacities. As a lobbyist, a policy person, an attorney. So I've seen a lot over my years.
And we have here Ms. Gokalgandhi.
Yes.
She is a Board of Education member at Milwaukee Public Schools, huh?
Absolutely.
140 schools, so that's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. Thank you so much for willing to talk to me in Issues in Education. And just have a little chat about whatever's in your heart. With us, we have Dr. Sequana Taylor. Congratulations. That's a recent accomplishment.
Absolutely.
So I'm very jealous.
No, don't be. Don't be.
But I don't have the work ethic, to be honest with you. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Listen, anything at this point in life is a lot of work, so be great with what you're doing, all right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So maybe share a little bit about your background in service. I know you and I have been talking off camera. I have a lot in common. And,
I feel, we've talked so much. I feel like now you're one of my cousins, man, one of my primos, one of the family members. And so grew up in Arizona, born and raised. Grew up in a bicultural household. My dad's Mexican American, my mom's Black American. And growing up, I was so anxious to get out of school, man. I wanted to finish school and peace out, never see it again. But then once I was out, and got some real life experience working, and then once I found out I was going to be a father, that's when a light bulb clicked for me, and I said,
for all of us,
bro, when you find out you're going to be a parent, game over.
Yeah.
Like you have two options.
Your life's over.
Your life, game over, and previous life's over. But for me, it was like a light bulb came on, and I was like, okay, Devin, what are you going to do to ensure your daughter has access to, literally, this is what I said, to a good school? Because I didn't want her to have the same experience I had growing up in the system. And I couldn't answer that question. And so truly we do this because we're passionate and we really want to see kids reach their full potential, period. That's what it's about. I want to make sure kids like my daughter have the same opportunities that other kids have in other communities. That's it. That's it. I just want to see these kids be whatever it is that they want to be, and have a healthy life. And so we have an opportunity to do that.
So do you find that as you increase the diversity of the teachers and of the school boards, that it translates down into some of the inclusion elements? So there are other factors beyond color that create the diversity. Are you finding that it's broader spread?
I think it's very broad spread. I have a son who's transgender. He went through the public school system. He is actually now teaching at a college on women's issues. And I watched as he went through, and he has taught me a tremendous amount about what students who are in these categories really feel. So it's not only about understanding people of color and how they may socially or culturally be different than white students that we've traditionally educated, but also LGBTQ students. And these students, we're now seeing more of them who are willing to identify themselves. I just finished, I wrote to a person in my particular school district this week because she had come before the town council, where she is a member, and talked about, I have a transgender son. And years ago, you wouldn't have said anything about it. there are a number of transgender children, and like everybody else, we want them to feel loved and welcomed in school. We want to do away with bullying, and we want to make sure they have the opportunity to do the best in their lives as they can. So it's not all about color. It's about LGBT, it's about economic status, where they're coming from. We want all the students in our schools to be learning. And there have been studies, one out of done by the Iowa School Boards Association, that found that when a school board really cares about all of its students, no matter which side of the tracks they come on, what color, they will do better because the board will demand that everybody do well. And a board that doesn't care about those issues, says things like, oh, those kids will just work in the factories, or those kids are from the wrong side of the tracks and will never do well. Well, that lowers the standards for those kids, and they don't do as well. So what we really want to see is every student doing well, every school board pushing on these issues so that no kids, to use the colloquialism, no kids are left behind.
Tell me a little bit about what AAPI is.
Yeah, so I was elected during a pandemic, so I knocked on 6,000 doors at the height of, the COVID-19 crisis.
Comfortable shoes?
Yes, comfortable shoes, masks always, and I happened to be the first South Asian woman that was elected to the Milwaukee Public School Board.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, so AAPI stands for Asian American Pacific Islander, and representation is important to me, and I think when we talk about having students who have really different backgrounds, and especially when we think about the influx of students who have refugee status from the Middle East, oftentimes they don't have people who look like them or speak their languages or understand their cultures that sit on the Board of Education, right? And so we do have a growing population of Asian American students, and
all over the country, not just MPS.
Right. And so, running for school board, there were kind of two parts. One, South Asian people in general are not elected and really not represented at local, state, and national. At any level. And so that was really important for me to commit to my community. And secondly, the curriculum that we have doesn't represent AAPI curriculum, which is wild because there's 2 billion AAPI plus folks in the world, right? And so if we're not representing the majority of the world's...
It is such a large slice of the population, global population.
Yes. The Milwaukee Public School Board was a kind of a trendsetter in this. We passed a resolution that supports the State Board of Education to adopt an AAPI curriculum and professional development resources. And so what we did is I was able to pass that at a local school board level, which then went to our WASB Association, which is the Wisconsin Association of School Boards. And it was adopted with 70% support at the state level. And so it really encourages the state not only to adopt, the curriculum and the training, but allocate funds year over year to ensure that we have representation in our history curriculum.
With all this strife that's happening, it must feel great to know that there's support behind it.
Yeah,
70% of anything is kind of a big number in the political arena, right?
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So that's great. So I know that the buzzwords right now is equality and equity.
Equity,
and,
Lord, is the buzzword of the year.
And equity and equality are not the same thing.
Absolutely.
So what are some of your thoughts on this, inclusiveness?
And absolutely. And so when we think about equality and equity, right? If we say equity, that does not mean that Sequana Taylor, the student, will get what Jose needs, right? Because we may need two different things, but that means when it's equitable, we get what we each need equitable for us, right? So if I am deficient or need extra help in reading and somebody else needs it in math, you're not going to be able to teach us on the same level. And so that means that if you're teaching me on the same level that you're teaching somebody that's on a different reading level than me, then that isn't equitable, right? Because one of us is not going to be able to understand it or comprehend the work that we need to do. And so I think when we talk about equity and equality, we need to start looking at a different lens that, as we always say, everybody is not on the same page. We need to make an incorporation of everybody who is there to get what they need.
I think, just listening to people that look like us, right, and are successful in our fields, I understand your dad was a first generation
Yes,
here, right?
yeah.
I'm first generation here, and hablas un poquito de español.
Sí, me entiende todo, pero habla poquito. See, I know all the Spanish that my nana taught me, and it's slang.
That's
I
so
grew up
funny.
with the Spanish that my nanas and tias talk, and it's not Univision Español. It's more of a village slang.
That's right. That's
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
it's
I know
not,
exactly what you mean.
But yeah, my dad's first generation, and then on my mom's side, they hail from Memphis, Tennessee, and my granddad was in the Air Force, and so that's how he got to Arizona. He got stationed in Arizona, and that's how my mom and dad met. Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? We're in the most powerful country in the world, and it's a melting pot. And I think our stories are just proof that people just want the opportunity to succeed. And I think you are in a perfect place to make that happen from the ground up. Right? You're in charge of the little kids, and you got to give them a chance. And I think you're doing a great job doing that. And I highly encourage you to keep it up.
Yeah, thank you, man.
So,
That's the mission. I'm sure there's someone in your life. There was certainly someone in my life that believed in me. Even if it was just one person that believed in us to help us get to the positions where we are now. I hope this is okay, but you mentioned that you were at risk youth growing up, so was I.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids that look like us, unfortunately, are in certain challenging situations, environments. But it just takes one person to believe, one person to see something in you, and that can completely change your entire life. And that's what happened to me.
Absolutely, that's what happened to me. I mean, we were talking off camera about. I clearly remember, and I'll give a shout out to Mrs. Hagen, actually, Dr. Hagen, and she just saw an at-risk kid, and gave me a chance. Right? She thought, okay, let's look past the squirreliness, right? Let's look past that. And she did, and I'm still friends with her on Facebook, we chat all the time. She comments on my posts, and it's just awesome.
That's beautiful.
It's awesome. I think my wife's an educator, my daughter's going to school to be an educator, and so she understands. I understand you. I get the language, and when we trade messages all the time, and I know that I make her proud. She's told me that before, and she gave me a chance. Right?
She gave you one chance.
Kid. Really squirrely, I gotta tell you. I know it's hard to believe, right?
Squirrely is a very nice term that you're using, by the way, for how you really were.
It's a PC
squirrely,
show.
Yeah. But you see how one person changed the entire trajectory of your life. Mm-hmm. You met your wife, you have your beautiful daughter now, and they're all educators because of someone took a chance to believe in you.
Me. Exactly.
And that's literally the impact one person can have. So when folks say, well, I'm just one person, I can't make a difference, or I can't get involved, I'm just one board member.
Not true.
That's not true.
Absolutely.
You can have a positive effect on people, and specifically young people, and that's where I think we need to put our energy into right now, is into young people. As school board members, whether if you're an elected official in a city council or a township or supervisor, wherever you're at, you can put some positive energy and support into our youth, because if we don't get it right there, then how are we even going to address other issues like workforce or whatever?
Absolutely.
Again, like I say, if we don't get it right with our kids, it's hard to fix them as adults.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to fix them as adults.
Absolutely.
So if we could do our jobs right with the support of parents and awesome teachers, then we really have an opportunity here to really not only just change our communities, but our states, and from our states, our nation.
Devin, it's a pleasure interviewing you and meeting you.
No, this is very nice.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
Good because I know we didn't get a chance to touch on this, but we kind of did. We just didn't call it out in the form of representation. Mm-hmm. And representation matters, and it's important when students see people that look like them or that come from their communities and that hear their stories. The most powerful thing we have is our stories.
Absolutely.
And our ability to share, and hopefully that'll inspire others to do something good and do something great in their community.
Came from a humble background.
So, representation,
I'm making a living here.
That's it.
And you can too.
Right? Yeah, you can too. And so representation matters, and so I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation, and we were able to talk very briefly about the great return. But let us not forget that it's all about investing and continuing that to build up our youth.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you
brother.
so much.
Appreciate it,
absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Bob, I really appreciate you visiting with us today.
Sure thing.
I hope that everyone will continue to follow this conversation.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thank
spending
you
the
so
time
much.
with
Absolutely.
me. It was a pleasure,
It was a
and
pleasure.
I'm sure we'll see each other around.
Yeah,
so
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
I will, and thank
so-
you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Everybody needs to chime in to issueseneducation.net.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.